are live. Welcome everybody to the All Elite Breakdown, where we talk about everything All Elite Wrestling, including tonight's special episode as we break down the Dynamite Grand Slam from Wednesday night. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Payne. How's it going, man?
Going good, actually. I'll be honest, this has been... normally when I'm on my podcast, my buddy James and Brent, I always say it's always been like an interesting week in wrestling. But this, to be honest, I'm on West Coast, so I got like two shows I still have yet to watch yet with SmackDown and Rampage. So this is definitely, for right now, a good week of wrestling.
Oh, I definitely agree. So let's go over what we thought about the overall show of Dynamite Grand Slam. Ryan, we'll kick off with you with your overall thoughts on the show.
Well, for this being like one of their like mini like TV events, like they do a Grand Slam, and then of course in the early years of AEW when they were like, early start when they were doing Bash at the Beach, trying to like Fighter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. Even though it's 3 pay-per-view, it's pay-per-views every 3 months. I like these mini events here because it's really focusing. Well, first off, I love the idea of these mini events because then it makes the fact that not only are they touring along certain cities and states, but they're trying to make it important. And this Grand Slam event, they really were trying to make this a big show, like having so many titles and championships on the line. I think I remember when I was looking at some articles trying to see what some reviewers were thinking of the show, I saw one comment that said, Grand Slam is what Battle of the Belts should be. But even then, this was still a great show, and I loved. There were some negative moments that took me out of it, but even then, I was glued to this show. I was glued to the screen.
Yeah, so for me, this might be one of the best AEW Dynamites of the year so far. Not saying a lot because there have been some really great ones. I think the one 2 weeks ago was really good when Daniel Garcia won the RH Pure title.
Not the blood. Yeah, when he won it in his hometown. Yeah, I was thinking of the Battle of the Dragons between him and Bryan Danielson. But no, that one with him and Wheeler Yuta, that was also a great match.
Yeah, but this one, man, it felt like a pay-per-view. And that's what I love that AEW does, is it harkens back to old ECW, where ECW only had 4 pay-per-views a year, but they would do super cards in the middle of the year to give you like championship belts, championship matches.
Super cards.
Yeah, super cards. And what's great about it is it makes Dynamite must see every week because you know that they're leading up to something big, whether it's Winter's Coming, whether it's, Fighter Fest or Fight for the Fallen or, what is it? Another one?
I don't think they're doing Bash at the Beach enough, but when they were building up to oh wait, New Year's Eve,
New Year's Smash.
New Year's,
yeah,
New Year's also
Smash.
Been a good build up.
Yeah. So the idea of like they have 4 pay-per-views a year, but you've got super cards in the middle makes things feel fresh because you're like, okay, I don't know what to expect when I go into a Grand Slam or I go into a Winter's Coming because they've already shown that they're not afraid to give title changes on these special Dynamite episodes. I mean, the first Winter's Coming had Kenny Omega beat Jon Moxley for the title and then harken off to Impact. So they're showing you that these cards are very important to tune into because literally anything can happen, which I love. This show was perfect in my opinion. Some nitpicks here and there that we'll talk about, but overall, all the matches were great. All the segments were great. A really, really great debut, which we'll talk about in a little while.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of anything really bad in this show, which is kind of making me sound biased, but I mean, if you look at the overall card, I mean, there was nothing terrible on this card.
Yeah, when it comes to the matches, I agree. Although when it comes to certain segments, I'll admit that there were some like takeaways from there. Like I will say, I just want to get this one out the way so I can at least get this negativity, this whole the segment they just have, the pre-tape segment with Jade Cargill, wanting to build up her match against Diamante for
Oh yeah,
Ram.
with Trina.
Yeah. Well, I had nothing against her showing up against Trina. It's just for me with Diamante though, she's one of the few, just like with like people like to complain about how AEW doesn't build up new stars. Diamante has been one of the AEW originals during year one. She came in later on, but she was one of the wrestlers that was still around. She was definitely one of the fixtures of the women's division during the pandemic when they were at Daly's place. And even though she was wrestling mostly in a lot of dark matches, she still at least was a consistent wrestler that you saw on television or YouTube. And I don't know. I guess with this segment there, I was hoping for maybe instead of a pre-recorded segment with Jade and the Baddies, maybe kind of do what they always do, kind of like a tale of the tape or one of those like preview fights. Like, oh my god, I'm forgetting the preview records they do. Where they have Tony, Taz, Albert talk about the wrestlers, and then I would have loved to have more light shown on Diamante and really build her up as this great challenger to Jade. Kind of like what they did with Marina Shafir when she was coming in, when they were setting her up, despite the disappointment of that first match of her championship match against Jade. Like, do something like that with Diamante, build her up, because so far, and I've said this on my podcast, I've said this on different wrestling, like on different friends' wrestling shows, after shows or segments. I'm not a fan of what's been happening with Jade Cargill with her run with the TBS Championship. Not a fan of her booking. I was not a fan of her build-up. I would have preferred her. I did not like that he put the belt on her so quickly. I would have preferred she build herself in the ranks, and maybe after 6 to 8 months after the first TBS champion was crowned, then she's billed as the next challenger who you then put the belt on. Because if one thing AEW has shown, everybody they put their first championships on, who's become the first champion, they have really set a standard. Jericho set a standard as the first AEW champion. SCU set a standard for tag champions, which is a ceiling that's constantly being lifted. Even Cody Rhodes, before he left, he set a precedent as TNT champion. Despite how many people love it or hate it, he set a precedent there to make the TNT championship an important belt. And when it comes to AEW, unfortunately, with their women's division, I am still a defender of the women's division. I think they were just dealt a bad hand before pandemic because they had a plan on building that roster, but the pandemic changed it up. And so far as with champions is concerned, so far with the women's division, some of the champions have been very good. Some of the champions had some of their weak spots, but I still saw them as very great in the ring to keep me entertained, invested. But with the TBS championship, that was going to be a second for that division. They needed a wrestler to really build it, to give it some credibility. And with Jade having this long streak and this long reign, kind of makes me think that that championship really was just created because they were going to TBS. They had no really plan for a second belt for that division, and it's kind of showing. I hope I'm proven wrong. I really hope I'm proven wrong, like when we get to Full Gear.
So to me, on Jade, when she started, I wasn't a fan of her. I was like, all right, she's green, but I always saw potential there.
I did too.
I always saw that she was a star, and the company had trust in her because when Brandy couldn't compete with Cody, when Red Velvet came in, you're kind of like, okay, so Shaq and this new chick, okay, who is she? She looks good. She did some really good moves, but what AW did well in her first match was they built it around tag team, where she doesn't have to carry a match herself, and that helps. So I was like, okay, I can't wait to see more of her because she has that star potential. Then the tournament happened. I was like, okay, me personally, I would have had her lose to Ruby Soho in the finals, but okay, you put the title on her, that's fine. Ever since, I have been a fan of hers. I have seen her kind of grow and grow and grow her her character of
Uh-oh.
character. Oh,
You froze for a second.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
But as I was saying, like she came like how am I gonna say this?
You
She
said you were a fan of her character. Yeah, how she was
yeah,
building
yeah,
herself.
yeah. So how they were building her character of like this bad bitch character, and how she walks like a champion, she talks like a champion. Her in ring stuff is getting a lot better. She's able to work with even excuse me, even with someone kind of new, she's able to get a good match out of them, and that's someone who you can build around. I'm okay with doing the streak right now because now with it being 38 and 0 or 39 and 0, whatever, the first person to give her that loss is going to get a huge rub from it. And that could be someone new that you're building up. Whether it is going to be a Ruby Soho or a Chris Statlander, which I think Chris Statlander should be the one to take the belt from her if it wasn't Athena, because Statlander has always been close to the AEW Women's World title. But I think someone who can match the strength of Jade Cargill, who can match her speed and her athleticism, I think it could be Chris Statlander to take the belt, and that could skyrocket her into superstardom as well, because she'd be the one to give Jade her first loss. I like when they build up streaks naturally, not like Goldberg, where they just came up with a random ass number one week and decided just to run with it. We've seen her go 38 and 0, you know what I mean, on Dark, on Rampage, on Dynamite. We've seen her grow that streak. So now
Yes.
when someone beats her, it's going to mean even more, because not only is the belt on the line, but the streak is on the line as well. I think building that up and then really pushing someone new to the women's division, or making someone else star in the women's division, is the right way to build up more credible contenders for the titles.
I'm all in agreement from what you said there. I just and I want to see that for Jade, especially. I mean, she's getting lots of TV time, of course, but the fact is, when you put her as champion, and I like the fact that she's getting more TV time, she's getting more exposure to, to get better. I just feel that if she had just gotten at least a few storyline feuds to
Yeah,
get people invested instead of just who's next on my list, who's up to play. Like really
yeah,
build, like when she had the baddies. I mean, like have them. I understand that sometimes when you have a dominant champion and a heel faction, there's the trope of, okay, you have a face going up against a heel faction. The face is going to take out everyone in the faction before they get to that person. That could have been a good trope to use for Jade. Now, it doesn't seem that I'm most likely of the same opinion that Chris Statlander will be the one to beat that streak, because I didn't believe it was Athena for 1 second, even when she debuted, because
I
without
actually thought I
AEW,
actually thought Athena was gonna take the belt from her.
well, the fact that AEW is all big into making of records, like really putting up there with records, and so I couldn't see a way of Athena getting enough matches in order to challenge Jade, especially if she did maybe 5 or 6 on Dark. You at least wanted to see her wrestle on Dynamite a couple of times. But
Yeah,
all of that being said, despite all this time we're devoting on just one segment of the show, it is something that maybe going down the line, if whenever Jay does that championship, we'll see some new changes to her, maybe some adjustments to her character. We'll see
yeah,
exactly what it does for the women's division, because I think the TBS championship, which I swear, the TBS and TNT championship, I think they both need to be renamed, repackaged, because obviously those belts were made for corporate synergy. So hopefully down the road, when maybe
yeah,
Tony or somebody at AEW gets more leverage, they can repackage those. They can rename those championships to something that can be more prestigious.
yeah. So to me, I just wish they would do more. And this is kind of the issues I'm having right now. They're not major issues, but where like I wish the TNT and TBS championships mean more. Like when Cody had the belt, it meant more. It main evented Dynamite. It was an open challenge. It was
Hmm.
the top. Like if the top guys in the top five couldn't challenge for it, the number six would. You know what I mean? Like it could elevate talent. It elevated Darby Allin and Miro. But now they're not really doing anything with Wardlow as champion, and it kind of confuses me.
Yeah. It was just also, I mean, I get Wardlow's going to defend the championship on the 2 hour Rampage, which kind of, I mean, it makes sense too
No,
because
he's
it's
not.
the TNT title. Well, he's not?
He's not. No, it's Wardlow and Samoa Joe versus Tony Nese and Josh
Oh, yeah.
Woods.
I thought he was defending the championship because he's the TNT champion. Okay, that's another reason why I think the title needs to be rebranded. Because if the, but that's all about where the shows are being aired. But you know what? I do agree. Some titles should have should be presented with a certain relevancy and importance and prestigiousness. Which bring it on to one of my favorite moments of the night. Obviously, the ROH Championship they did with Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli. Talking about prestigious there, they really build. I love what Tony's been doing with the ROH titles. He gives them their moment to shine on AEW TV. He not
Mhm.
only focuses on, but he brings in a Ring of Honor announcer and a Ring of Honor commentator to really represent the history and also
It
to
feels like an ROH match when you're watching it. That's
exactly.
what I love. So, sorry for interrupting you.
No, I was gonna continue on. It was basically gonna lead down to this is something of an ROH match you would see on free TV.
Yeah. So let's go through the actual card tonight. We've had what 1, 2, 3. We had 5 matches in total.
Mm-hmm.
We started off with the ROH World Championship, Claudio Castagnoli versus Chris Jericho. We went into the Acclaim versus Swerve and Arguello for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The All Atlantic Championship was on the line as Pac defended the title against Orange Cassidy. The interim
Yep.
AEW World Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match, Toni Storm defending against Athena, Britt Baker, and Serena Deeb. And the main event, Grand Slam Tournament of Champions Finals for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley taking on Bryan Danielson. So, if you're ready, we can open up the card. To be fair, to be honest, I didn't watch last week's Rampage, so I did not know this match was made official. For the Ring of Honor World
Yep.
Championship, Claudio Castagnoli defending the title against Le Champion, the Wizard, Chris Jericho.
The
Uh,
influencer.
this match, this match divided the wrestling community. Thoughts on that,
I mean,
Ryan?
they could be they're divided on almost anything, which we're going to definitely talk about later on. But as far as this match goes, storyline purposes, this was a very, very good, solid match. I mean, it's Claudio coming out defending the Ring of Honor Championship with honor, with integrity, as he has been holding on his shoulders ever since he won the title.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Chris Jericho, who's calling himself the sports entertainer, pretty much everything that's supposed to be the antithesis of the Ring of Honor Championship. So these was two perfect clashes of styles going in on here. And you really do see that. I loved in the opening, Jericho just tries to slap him, tries to intimidate him. Claudio, he just goes, "I'm gonna uppercut you."
Claudio opens up the match with like rapid uppercuts to Jericho in the corner. Fucking nasty, by the way, man. Claudio knows how to hit that uppercut.
Oh yeah, and but this match itself, I mean, like I said, it plays exactly great into the style. Where you have Claudio, he's playing strong into his striking and power set moves. You know what made him the champion, and then you got Jericho using dirty tactics, trying to get ahead in order to stay on top of Claudio. Which, if you're really looking at this as Clash of Styles and in the storytelling of the match, this makes sense to why when we do see in the end Jericho cheats to win because that's and Rampage it sets up he's won championships almost everywhere he's gone to except the Ring of Honor title and the fact that he has Daniel Garcia in his group as the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. This kind of seats well with Jericho because because I can see a storyline here to where it's going to play to where Jericho won the title and now it's going to try to get Daniel Garcia back into his good graces once again. Like, see Daniel, you don't need to be a wrestler in order to be a champion. You're a sports entertainer, and see, look at that, two sports entertainers, And I would love to see where this will lead to because after that match, you saw the Jericho Appreciation Society come out. Daniel Garcia just like looking like Charlie Brown, just like, oh god,
He looked so disappointed. His head was down. He was like, "Really? You're the Ring of Honor World Champion?" Like, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure I know where this is going to lead. They're gonna have Jericho hold the belt until ROH gets a TV deal. I bet you on the opening show, Daniel Garcia versus Chris Jericho, champion for champion. Daniel Garcia is going to be the first man to hold both the Ring of Honor and World Championship, Pure and World Championship at the same time. They are going to put the
Possibly.
Rocket and make Garcia the face of Ring of Honor.
Possibly. I mean, I could see that. I can't not. I mean, I can't hold no illusions that it's that's one plan. Although, depending on when the deal is going to happen, I personally may not see. I could probably see Jericho hold on to it to the end of the year, maybe. Because so far with Jericho, his main focus has been always just like, sure he is the guy, he's the one in charge, he's the top guy, so of course he's gonna want, if he forms a group, he's gonna be the one to have the more mic, more TV time. But even then, he's still someone who wants to elevate, who wants to put more focus on other talent. I mean, for Christ's sakes, if we look back to the Inner Circle, even though he was the one in charge, who were the ones getting so much of the spotlight?
Sammy Guevara, Santana Ortiz, these people were getting more of the mic time.
Yeah, despite Jake Hager just being the big guy in the back, Jake Hager had moments where he would shine. And now look at what the Inner Circle. The fact in one segment, he takes 2.0 and turns them into an incredible comedic duo with those names. Cool Hand Angelo Parker, Big Daddy Magic Matt Menard. I mean, those two. I can't wait to see what they're going to be like on Rampage later tonight.
They're awesome. They're awesome.
But even then, it's like Jericho taking those elements of 2.0 and really giving a great spin to it. And even with Daniel Garcia, when he came in, he was you really looked at him like this was a wrestler, a hardcore brawler, and then having him do the whole sports entertainer segment. And now slowly you see the character turning back towards being a wrestler again. His clashes with Bryan Danielson, with the Blackpool Combat Club, especially after he won against Wheeler Yuta. It wouldn't have shocked me. It wouldn't surprise me 1 second if Jericho says in his segment next week to where I wanted to win that championship for you because I saw what happened. Bryan Danielson puts his hands around your waist. That should have been me doing that. And now you get to do that to me. I can see Jericho make a great comedy moment out of this.
Oh, yeah. And what's great about Jericho is out of everybody, I'd probably say him and Mox, but really Jericho feels like a locker room leader. And the only reason I don't say Mox is because I think Mox is a great leader. I think right now, though, Mox is he's concerned about giving the crowd the best matches possible. And he's been doing that. And really, making sure the locker room gets hyped. I think Jericho is someone who, whether it's in the ring, backstage, in the locker rooms, whenever a young guy needs advice, that's the person they go to. Because they can trust Jericho. They can trust that Jericho's going to give them the right advice and steer them in the right direction, wherever they want to go with it. And you saw that even during the CM Punk situation. What happened? Jericho came out. He told Tony Khan what the fight was happening backstage. And then instead of riling everybody up, he calmed everybody down. He said, look, I told these guys, don't leak personal information because what stays back here is personal. That's for us.
Exactly.
Instead of putting blame on somebody and calling out people, he de-escalated the situation and made it where the locker room now feels safe enough to open up to him. He feels like a real locker room leader to these guys.
Exactly. And one thing I will he's also someone who can easily communicate with Tony Khan as well because he's had experience in the past working with people in charge like Vince McMahon, like Eric Bischoff. So he has no problem talking to someone and also he's at a point in his career to where not only can he be the locker room leader, but he can also be a good mediator and if he wants an idea to put together, he doesn't need to wait on like Tony Khan or something. He just floated towards. He said so many times on his podcast. If he has an idea, he'll float it towards him and see if it'll work out. Sometimes it'll crash and burn. Other times it will be successful. But and I do like the idea of him winning the championship because now he's gonna start calling himself the Ocho. Now I've captured the Ocho. You're looking at not only Even now, I think even during Rampage, before he challenged, every time he was like commentating on Rampage, whenever he got mic time, he always tried to put himself. He tried to put up with this phrase like the best wrestler ever, best champion ever, the BWBC. I'm
BWBC.
Yeah, he as a heel, I'm pretty sure now this is the perfect opportunity for him to shove it down our throats till we're sick and tired of it. Because guess what? He's a heel. That's how it's going to work. If you don't like it, guess what? He's doing his job as a heel. Not because, oh, you think it's a terrible creative standpoint. No, it's because Jericho is putting his all into make sure you hate him as a heel. So when Daniel Garcia makes that turn, you are going to cheer for Daniel Garcia as bigger, like almost as much as you want to cheer for Jon Moxley.
Yeah, and to me, I know a lot of people are saying that this could derail Claudio's momentum, but with the way I look at it, the man is 12-1 right now as his record. If anything, this just shows me that he's going to go up into the heavyweight division or the TNT title division, and he's going to capture another belt very soon. Because
Yeah,
I could easily see Moxley losing the belt to MJF by MJF cheating, and Claudio having a problem with that and going against MJF for the belt.
yeah. Or with seeing the fact that he and Wheeler Yuta have been paired together at times, I could see him and Yuta start going for tag team championship
Tag
roles.
belts. Yeah, because Moxley and Danielson were like number 3 in the tag division, and Danielson got injured. So how cool would it be if you take, Yuta, who they have been putting over huge lately, and giving him a world tag team title run with Claudio? That could be awesome.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, just because someone loses a championship doesn't mean they're done. It's all about where they go next. And we have unfortunately seen some areas and avenues where when someone loses a championship, they might fall in like they may fall into the ether. But even then, I mean, let's say for example, when Jericho lost a championship, did he fall either? No, he found a way to keep things going, especially
I
with
would
the whole
say
thing.
Hangman Page. Even though he lost the world title, he's now doing the trio stuff with Dark Order. They're
Yes.
giving him something to do right after.
And depending on how the whatever that rumble is for the opportunity to challenge for the
Yeah.
championship goes, maybe there's more storyline avenues for Hangman to even sink his teeth into with the Dark Order. Because right now they're doing this tease of the Dark Order where Ten is being approached by Andrade
Andrade.
and Jose. So this could lead into a good feud between Hangman and Andrade, or most likely maybe start having some moments with like maybe Hangman starts stepping up to be a leader for the Dark Order. If not,
Mm-hmm.
or stay with his own thing. You know, it's all up there. It's all right there, and I'm just gonna wait and see exactly how that's gonna turn.
Yeah.
I mean, how it's gonna
So,
play out.
oh, sorry. So I have the top moments from this match. But interesting fact: Aubrey Edwards became the first woman to referee an ROH title match. That's awesome. That's amazing. I love the start of this match. Jericho declined the code of honor initially before accepting Claudio's handshake, only to slap him in the face.
Yep.
The
And he gave him that
disrespect.
receive the headbutt, and he gave him that receive the uppercut.
Yep. This move for Jericho being what? He's almost 50, right? Or he's over
I
50.
think he is 50, 51.
Yeah. Claudio countered a hurricane from the rope, so Jericho adjusted and executed the move anyway. He executed a top rope Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
My man is insane for 50. He's like Sting. Sting is doing some wild shit. Jericho countered a springboard with a code breaker from Claudio. Claudio fights out of the walls of Jericho and then just literally just stomps on Jericho's face.
Yeah.
By the way, and at the end of the match, Jericho has the bat. I believe his name is what?
Floyd. He calls the
Floyd.
bat
Yeah,
Floyd.
yeah. He goes to hit Claudio. Claudio just stops it. The referee's distracted. Jericho hits him with a low blow into the Judas effect for the 3. Jericho wins the Ring of Honor World Championship. We then move on to the AEW World Tag Team Championships. the champion Swerve in Our Glory takes on the Acclaimed. I will say I prefer their match at All Out. This match was still good. I still don't think they should have called an audible at All Out. I still don't think so because this was the perfect opportunity. Both the Acclaimed members are from New York. You got the hometown feel. You got the hometown pop. You don't need to call an audible unless you feel it's needed. I don't think it was needed at All Out.
I can understand the argument that people have been saying that they should have called the audible at All Out. But here's the thing, I'm still of the opinion that All Out was a testing ground for the Acclaimed. Because before that match, a couple months back, Anthony Bones was on the injury list. And sure, he and Max Caster were able to get themselves over through popularity and even with being teamed up with the Guns. But I like the fact that they didn't win the championship because then it makes the hometown win that much better. Also, I knew it was never going to top what happened at All Out because it was a match. No one was expecting this. No one had no expectations for this match going in. They thought, okay, this is just another match for Swerve and Our Glory to win, so they can tease out their breakup, and whoever is next on the list. But once we got into the almost 2/3 into the match, when people started really losing their minds over this, and seeing how from the close calls, from the finishers, and from the near attempts where Billy Gunn got involved in that all-out match, they told a story to where the crowd not only wanted the Acclaim to win, they were desperate for them to win. So it made so much sense to have the rematch at Arthur Ashe in New York, to have that, not only that hometown pop, but the hometown victory. And just looking at the story going into this match, the Acclaim 100% had the crowd behind them, but even then, in this match, Swerve being the heel, but Keith being the honorable one in the match. Just seeing the story they played out, Swerve attacking Max's leg, Max taking all the punishment during the picture-in-picture, but when they come back, what does he do? He does a power move on Keith Lee in order to get that tag in, really playing into the Acclaimed have grit. They got character, they have heart. I knew this wasn't going to top it, so I wanted to see from a storyline. And seeing how Swerve was trying to cheat to win, I like the fact that the Acclaim was like, we're not going to take that attempt lying down. So once they got the ref to turn around, Bowens hits him across the face. Billy Gunn hits that famouser to stick it to Swerve. Some people were thinking, oh, why were faces cheating to win? No offense.
It was a receipt.
It was not only just a receipt, but let's not forget the Acclaimed are not pure baby faces.
No,
nothing of their character changed when they became faces. They were the same. They're the same guys. Like, I understand when someone cheats to win, they're like, oh, but the face shouldn't cheat to win. How the hell you thought Eddie Guerrero got over? Okay, his whole thing was like cheating.
When Eddie, even when he was a face, he cheated to win the WWE Championship. What are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't just he cheated to win. It was more of like They were the whole. I will say one thing: the champion, his match against Brock Lesnar shouldn't have had that little mystery of Goldberg getting involved there, because Goldberg got involved.
Eddie hit the tornado.
Well, he reversed an F5. Brock was going to F5 him on the championship, but then he reversed it into a tornado DDT. So technically, that's the one match where he didn't actually cheat to win. It was just more of a reversal of fortune. But he did that at WrestleMania against Kurt Angle, where he cheated to win. So that's his gimmick. And I can understand. There are some wrestlers who can pull that off as faces. So I see that in a storyline element of the Acclaimed with that was Billy Gunn respecting his team, backing up his boys. He sees Swerve pull that. He sees Swerve trying to pull that shit on trying to hit Bones with the title, but accidentally it's Keith.
Oh no!
And then
Boombox.
Oh, the boombox. Okay, yeah, the title was from the All Out match. Okay, yeah, trying to use that boombox there. Yeah. So I understand some people's criticism, but at the same time, that's not something to be hung up about in this match.
Plus, also and I love that AEW does this. Even though people are faces and people are behind them, they're not pure good guys. They're not pure bad guys. There are kind of a mixture. Jericho is a pure heel, but you also got someone like, Daniel Garcia, who is kind of in the middle right now. He's with Jericho, but he's also getting the crowd behind him. He's in the middle.
Yeah.
You've got these great fluid people where it's like it's not black and white anymore. It's not the 80s or the 90s where you have to have a good guy and a bad guy. The good guy doesn't cheat, the bad guy cheats. You can have a mixture of where, well, maybe the face does cheat, but the heel did it first, so it was, the receipt for the
give them
bad
a
guy.
taste of their own medicine. That's and also cheating can also work well if you want to have a face that doesn't cheat. Then guess what? Put them in a storyline against an opponent who constantly cheats, and then build it to where they can't take it anymore. To when they want to cheat and they say no. The best example: Sami Zayn going for the NXT champ in his NXT run when he was up against I think it was Neville or Bo Dallas.
No, Neville.
Yeah, it was Neville. When he was against Neville, that match when he won the championship. When he had that championship in his hand, the opportunity to cheat to win.
Shot.
Yeah, and you heard, and if people watch that match, you hear the crowd behind them where some of them were like against him using it. So when he puts that title away, the crowd erupted, knowing they want him to win the honorable way. And also, one thing I do appreciate, AEW has been proving that they're not trying to give you the same programming, the same tropes that WWE is giving you or any other wrestling company. They're showing you. You get a good guy to cheer, great. Sometimes a good guy will win by circumstances or they'll just win that was outside of their control. Same with the bad thing with the heels. But going on in with this match, the Acclaim wins the championship, yes. Some people are still going to say they should have called that audible. I personally say no. I stand behind that they stuck with Swerve in Our Glory, keeping the belts, because now with the Acclaim having that little receipt to win, they can build a little storyline here to where Swerve in Our Glory wants another shot because of what the Acclaim did. So then when it's Swerve in Our Glory and the Acclaim 3, then we're going to get those moments
at full gear, more than likely.
Most likely Full Gear, because they did after the match, they did tease that FTR was in the background, that they still have an opportunity for the title. Now, I hope they don't do a triple threat match at Full Gear, although I don't blame them if they do. I don't blame them because they did that with Swerve in Our Glory.
I really want to see that match, actually. FTR, Swerve in Our Glory, and the Acclaimed.
Yeah. Now, I won't blame them if they do that for Full Gear, but I kind of would like them to build to Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory 3 at Full Gear, because this time it'll be more personal, and this time it will be the implosion of Swerve in Our Glory.
Yeah. So I think the AEW Trios titles really opened up the floodgates when it comes to the AEW Tag Team division, because what's great about the Trios division now is guys like the Young Bucks and, bigger tag teams like the Best Friends and stuff. They are in the Trios divisions now. They have more titles to work for. But now you get guys like Swerve in Our Glory. You get the Acclaim. You get the Gun Club. You get all these young new tag teams that can come up. And it's not like, they're going to lose against the Young Bucks. We know it. It's, someone could beat the Acclaimed for the titles. I don't know what's going to happen. But I like that where it's like, oh, I know who's going to win this match. I like going to a match of like, I don't know who to pick. I don't know who's going to win.
And even then, AEW was still able to do surprise moments where the heavy favorite is beaten by the underdogs. I mean, the first year one of AEW to crown the tag team champions, the Young Bucks lost to Private Party, which was definitely building them up. And let's also, when Thunder Rosa was champion, she did an eliminator match in Japan, and she lost, which got her challenging opportunity for the AEW Women's Championship. And even Cody himself, when he had that big freaking squash match from being squashed by Brody Lee and by Malachi Black. Sure, in the records-wise, Cody was an odds-on favorite, but when you look at the story and narration there, Cody was more of the underdog because he's against guys he was not prepared for. Mm-hmm. And you can do the same thing every time Wardlow goes into a match. He's going to be the odds-on favorite for with the championship. But when someone beats him in an eliminator style match or beats him, like humiliates him, then you set a storyline narrative for Wardlow's character.
Yeah. So I was watching the sessions that Renee had with Swerve this past
Yes.
week. I'm not sure if you watched it or not,
I
but
watched a couple of them, yeah. I don't get a chance to listen to all of it.
yeah. So the one thing I found interesting was one, I didn't realize Swerve and Keith Lee actually tagged on the Indies. I did not know that. That's awesome. But two, in that interview, Swerve talked about how much he looks up and respects Keith Lee, and that he sees how serious he takes it, and that even when they're going out for a big title match, what he'll do is he'll crack a joke to get Keith Lee smiling, and then they'll go out for their match. It
Hmm.
loosens him up, but he says he always wants to make Keith Lee as proud as possible because that's how much he looks up to him.
Yeah. So then when they break apart, we're going to get one hell of a personal feud between them.
Oh yeah, and you could even bring up the fact that they tagged on the Indies and they you know had all this history together, which is what I love that AEW does, is that they don't shy away from other promotions. They don't shy away from other storylines or previous indie stuff that maybe some people didn't know. They'll bring it into storylines when possible. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it makes the rest of the world feel more open than it is. So let's go through the match real quick.
All
Um,
right. Yeah. After that was over, there was a segment with the guns interfered. I mean,
oh no,
they cut them off, but
I meant
that's not much to
the
talk
actual
about.
ending of the tag match. Sorry,
Okay,
because I
go
don't think
for it.
we told how the match ends.
I mean,
Um,
people are watching, so they know how it ends, but go for it.
so yeah, pretty much at the end, Billy Gunn hits the Fame Asser, as he calls it now, on in the Swerve, right? Yeah, on the floor, and
Yeah, he
then
did answer.
Caster hits the mic drop for the victory and the pop. Man, that pop was insane for their win. By the way, love the fact that the Acclaimed are now the first openly gay tag team champions in
Well, at
AEW
least
history.
Anthony Bowens, yes, he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
I
Is
thought
Max
Caster was as
Caster?
well, but I
I
could be
don't know.
wrong.
I mean, but they've been very open. Bowens has been very vocal that he is gay. I don't know about Caster.
Yeah, but I saw that on Twitter the other day when Boeing's put it out. So that's amazing to see. I also love that AEW is showing more representation for everybody. Like Nyla
Yeah,
Rose and Sunny Kiss, now the Acclaimed. Like they're not shying away or making it a joke or anything. Like it's just these guys are gay, but they're wrestlers. Like just let them go out and wrestle. You know what I mean?
exactly. Like they're not making it a big deal. Honestly, the only time they'll, I mean, the only they're not trying to add any wrestling angles or any storyline narrations. Just more,
Yeah.
this is who they are, and that and they're wrestlers.
All right, so let's move on to what we had a segment right with
The next match was the All Atlantic Championship between Pac and Orange Cassidy.
yeah, but we had a TR promo beforehand, or is that after this match?
The match it came after the match. They're pretty much in the segment. They were being interviewed by Lexi, and all they were going to say was they were congratulating the Acclaimed and said they still have an opportunity for the titles in their back pocket. But before they can continue, they were interrupted by the Guns, both Austin and Colton. And pretty much the segment was just the Guns making fun of FTR that, oh, they're an old tag team. They're the new ones. They're the younger ones. They're the younger versions. And then they end up mocking FTR by calling themselves top guys and leaving. And he goes, yeah, that's funny. So it's teasing that possibly they're going to have a match against FTR before FTR wants to make any claims going up against, before FTR wants to challenge the Acclaimed.
Yeah,
That was all that segment. And I know that there was also a segment with Tony Schiavone and Wheeler Yuta pretty much talking
yeah.
about, pretty much setting up, like talking about the main event with Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Before Wheeler Yuta could say anything, he's interrupted by MJF, which of course MJF, he gets this big pop from the crowd. Now, regardless what people are gonna say about MJF, look, this guy is a heel, obviously, and AEW knows right now that they really can't do anything about it. They just gotta let the people cheer for him. They know that they
Yep.
can't try to do what WWE did during the early mid 2010s. Like,
The
oh, you
the
cheer
Roman
for you.
Reigns
No,
effect.
no, it wasn't just that, but it was always after WrestleMania. They would say people cheer for who they boo, and they boo for who they cheer. Like they were trying to control that narrative. AEW's like, no, no, MJ's from New York, so guess what? New York's going to cheer for him. Or if he's just going around, they'll just say, yeah, he's a very he's a very charismatic person, even though you want to kick him in the balls, Like they'll admit that there's something about MJF that the people love, but then also they realize he's a scumbag. And you do see it here in this speech where he is pretty much talking about, in this segment, he talks about he still has this opportunity with that Dynamite chip and how he's not back for the fans. He's only back for the, oh, there goes my mic. He's only back for the money. And then him and Yuta have this good back and forth. Now I can see Yuta does a good promo back and forth with MJF. It's just the fact that this is a New York crowd and they're pro MJF. So no matter what Yuta said, this crowd was just like they weren't giving him the proper response.
I feel so bad for Yuta though. He had some good comebacks, but
He did.
what sucks though is like Yuta's never had a proper promo time, like on air. You know what I mean? Like he normally lets his action in the ring speak for himself. But the one time you give this man a mic and you have him go up against probably one of the best guys working on the mic right now in MJF is going to make him look stupid constantly.
I mean, I can understand from that point of view, but then also it's Wheeler's opportunity to step up in a way.
Yeah.
Like there is the catch-22 of this whole thing. Like because he had a good push under him, being paired with the Blackpool Combat Club, being given the Pure title, having to participate in the Super Juniors tournament in New Japan. Now, unfortunately, because he was participating, he didn't participate. He wasn't on Dynamite a lot. But even then, when he comes back, and of course, he loses the title in Garcia's hometown, New York. So even Yuta's like, he understands he's in enemy territory.
Yeah.
So I think he held himself very well in this promo, even congratulating MJ, doing honorable, congratulating him like he's engaged, and I've met your wife. She's great. And I love the fact he's not insulting her. He's pretty much just saying, she seems too smart for you. She's smart. Sooner or later, she's going to realize that you are an asshole, a piece of shit. Like not degrading her, but more like
Yuta had a
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was pretty much gonna say like Yuta's whole thing was regarding MJ's fiance war. Like your fiance's not an idiot, but I think you pulled a fast one on her to trick her, and she's gonna realize that you are the scum of the earth.
Yeah, but his ending where he goes, and hopefully she walks out on you like you walked out on all of us.
Oh yeah, the crowd booed that because they did not like that hearing from Yuta because
MJF though. MJF ended this man when he said he graduated from what is it, a piece of sand personality to a pet rock personality. Oh, my God, he ended this man.
Well,
God.
I think Yuta's going to recover from that. He's going to recover. Yeah. But then, of course, I mean, MJF has a great had some good taunts at him. But then when he taunts him about William Regal, I mean, first he goes to talk about Bryan Danielson, about Bryan's constant neck injuries.
His head injuries.
Yeah, and then he touts on Jon Moxley for his alcohol addiction. But then when he gets to William Regal, that's when William was enough.
What he said? He said he could teach you how to pop pills.
Yes, I think pop pills because it wasn't more about quitting jobs or so, but it was going to fall into another low blow belt for MJF, and of course Yuta pretty much at that point had enough. Smacks him across the face, tackles him to the ground, and I thought it was going to lead to a pull apart, but no, we see W. Morrissey come out from the back, take off, pretty much hold down Yuta for MJF to hit him with the Dynamite ring. And then security comes out. Well, I'm like, oh, it's kind of too late at this point. Wheeler's out.
Yeah. Love the firm, man. I love Stokely Hathaway. And it seems like he's taking a lot of these younger guys and he's trying to elevate them up to MJF's standard because MJF and Stokely Hathaway were had like a manager wrestler relationship on the indie, so they're kind of tying that back in. Dude, W Morrissey is making a fucking run on the wrestling scene right now.
Yeah,
He
he
had a
is.
great run in Impact. He's doing really good in AEW right now. And it's really weird to go back and see like a big cast match. And you're like, dude, like it's like night and day. Like he is amazing right now.
He truly changed. And I remember he did do the Sessions interview, and he did talk about how his time in WWE he was not in the right mental right headspace. He doesn't
Yeah.
fault. He doesn't even fault the reason for being fired. He accepted it, and he was able to learn from that. And look at what it's done so far. He's really built himself back up into pretty much what WWE wanted him to be, a killer. You know, like a really dangerous man. And we do see that here from being a part of the firm, Stokely Hathaway's, new stable. So I like to see I mean, I'm wondering what Morrissey's status is going to be. He's going to be kind of like a hitman, where he's going to help out when needed, or will he actually wrestle a couple of matches, But that's here nor there. But we should definitely move on to the next title championship match of the night, which was the All Atlantic Championship match between Pac and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. So this one was weird to me because I love Pac, I love Orange Cassidy. Their match at Revolution was amazing.
Hmm.
Something seemed off in this match, and I don't know what it was, but it never really got into third gear for me. And I don't know why.
There's been a lot of people trying to pick apart this match as well. Where if most people were if they were ranking some of these matches or putting them on a list, that All Atlantic Championship would definitely be somewhere like near the bottom for most people because some of them some people were really trying to pick this match apart. But for me, as someone who has been watching Pac and Cassidy's feud throughout AEW, this felt to me like, yeah, Cassidy can't do the same like laziness or like slow tortoise style wrestling he was doing at
Yeah.
Revolution. So I like the fact that before he gets started, instead of just putting his hand in his pocket, he throws his shades at Pac, and instead of do it again, he goes and starts attacking him. Like you're seeing Cassidy use different strategies in order to throw Pac off his balance. And I love how commentary is all talking about Cassidy's in Pac's head. He's using the mental games, which you do see is even frustrating Pac as well because when Cassidy showed up at All Out, I mean during 0 Hour to challenge for it, Pac immediately just goes, nope, like he is done. And he doesn't, and he's been saying he doesn't see Cassidy on his level. But this match, to me, was more of a storytelling tool instead of a wrestling match. Where throughout this entire match, you're seeing Cassidy not only use his bag of tricks, but he's also doing different ways in order to throw Pac off his balance. So if Pac wanted to get the steam going, Cassidy was able to trick him, throw him off his game to stay on top of it. Sure, Pac was able to, get back on top and brutalize him during picture-in-picture moments, but still, Cassidy always had an answer for whatever Pac threw at him. So when we got to that end of the match, where Pac was going to the end of the table, it looked like he was going for his championship, and instead grabs the hammer for the ring bell, uses it to knock out Cassidy. That to me shows that this was Pac at the end of his ropes, just nothing, like really out of desperation, but also to remind people that he is a bastard. That's in his name. Yes, he comes out of the face tunnel, but he still has heelish tendencies. So some people were disappointed in this match. To me, I got this to where we could see maybe once again Pac and Orange Cassidy at Full Gear for the All Atlantic Championship, or maybe Best Friends and Death Triangle for the Trios title at Full Gear. Because if Cassidy can't go for Pac through the championship anymore, guess what? He can try again for the Trios title, and we can probably see Best Friends crowned at Full Gear. So I can
Okay.
understand some people who found this match not to be up to their standards, or it didn't raise the roof, it didn't raise the ceiling that their first encounter did. But personally, I think that this match may have been middle of the road for some people, but I think this was just a stopgap, not stopgap, but a fork in the road to maybe put more attention towards the trios championships.
Yeah, I definitely get that. To me though, it's I love Orange Cassidy. I would argue that this would probably be the time that you give him a title. Because no matter what, I mean, Pac would be okay.
30 minutes.
Like, Pac would be fine because he's already got one belt. He's got the Trios belt. Then Pac can focus on Death Triangle and the Trios titles and have Orange Cassidy run with the All Atlantic title. You know, fucking in Japan against Toru Yano in a comedy classic match for the All Atlantic title. You could do things like that. Cassie's also someone who is super reliable, who you know is going to be there in and out, and the crowd's behind him. I don't know how much more the crowd will be behind Cassie with him being in title matches if he keeps losing all of his title match opportunities.
Well, I can understand that criticism there, and also some of the confusion. I think when it comes down to it, for Cassie's character, like to me, I can never honestly see him wear belts, and I will still love his character. But then I also understand people's concern to where Cassie's been a consistent draw for the company. He's gotten big wins. He's had memorable moments to where
Mm-hmm.
how can you not put a championship on him? And I'm just thinking to myself, this reminds me a little bit kind of like independent wrestling. Sometimes the best wrestlers in the independent scene never get a championship, but they're always a main consistent draw. And another part of me goes like, and this also believes this is what happens when we've been so programmed. Like, oh, if a wrestler has a championship, that means they're the best person to hold the title, or it's because they've earned it, or they're the best wrestler because it's all warranted. If WWE has proven anything, they have slapped championships on wrestlers for corporate reasons, for synergy reasons. So
Yeah,
for Cassidy to win a championship, I would love for there to be a storyline that builds to him, because I don't think he's that kind of person who's better chasing the belt. Because in the independent scene, there have been matches where he has been champion and where he has put on great matches. So it's all about how the crowd will
mm-hmm.
accept him as champion instead of how the company can accept him as champion. Because to me, I think the first championship he's going to win is going to be the trios titles.
That would make a lot of sense, actually. To me, I would love if Orange Cassidy would hold a singles title. The only issue I have, and it's probably why they haven't pulled the trigger yet, is I don't know how the fans or how other fans would be like, why is this guy champion? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't
Yeah,
look like he could be a champion.
well, that's where
You know what I
definitely
mean?
it's going to fall a lot on how the booking is going to make him. Because if the bet one of my favorite examples of a comedy wrestler's champion, which I'm going to WWE, which was Santino Marella, when he was Intercontinental Champion. What was the funniest thing? He tried to beat the Honky Tonk Man Intercontinental Championship,
Yeah,
but he kept coming up short. And even his little his run with Beth Phoenix is Glamorella. Like you can still use comedy great. Even R-Truth, when he even though he's been champion when he was a serious competitor, when he was a comedy guy, he can still be a draw. And there's definitely some. I mean, even now with Danhausen in AEW, even though I've seen his earlier works and he is a great wrestler, I could honestly see him get squashed in so many AEW matches, and it would not hurt him because it's Danhausen. But as far as I'm
yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
but as far as I'm concerned with Orange Cassidy, I think so far with singles championships, they're going to hold off a little bit. So I believe because next to the Bucks and Kenny, he and Best Friends were the next kind of group I thought could carry the trios championships.
yeah. All right, so I believe after that we move on to the interim AEW Women's World Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Toni Storm defending against Athena, Serena Deeb, and Britt Baker. This match was really good. Had some really good moments.
Oh yeah.
To me though, I really wish that the women's division had more storylines and kind of had a reason to why Toni was defending the title in a 4-way match.
Yeah, I
You know
believe
what I mean?
I understand that. Yeah, I do. Like I was maybe hoping. It is definitely a criticism towards the division. Uh, Especially maybe they're holding out till when Thunder Rosa gets back, they'll start a program. But until then, we do need to get more TV time for Toni Storm to really put herself out there as champion. Because right now, the only angle in the women's division, at least at that time, that was having a lot of traction was the pull apart between Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker after Britt cost Jamie at All Out. That was at least one storyline angle that people were focusing on. He even did that last week on a Dynamite in the tag match where Jamie teased that she was going to turn on Britt, but instead attacked Athena. So that was the one thing that had people's attention. And going through this match, that honestly did not change. I mean, look, I loved some of the moments there. Seeing Serena get to use her technician expertise, having to put Toni Storm in that in a half Indian deathlock hold while wrestling with while also doing I think it was a single leg. Well, I can't remember what she was doing with Athena. I think it was an octopus stretch or a headlock. Yes, an octopus stretch. Then turn it into a suplex. Like every woman had opportunities to all had their moments to shine. But I do believe Serena was the one that stood out the most in this match because you got to see her.
Athena looked really good. I love that fall away slam Samoan drop she did. That was amazing.
Okay, yeah, that was good. That was also a great moment too with Athena. I even like in the beginning before they all started.
She just kicked Britt Baker in the face.
Oh yeah, she booted Britt like get the hell out of here. And then Toni takes care of Serena, and I like that one-on-one between the two of them before Serena got involved, and then Britt shows up.
Yeah,
like you do see Britt as the more opportunistic heel in this scenario, where you have Toni and Athena more as the straightforward faces in this match.
Yeah, I will say AEW is getting better with their women's division. And I'll say this because of the Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter thing. I know a lot of people wanted Jamie Hayter to turn on Britt now, but I'm like, you got to let a storyline breathe some. It just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. You got to let it breathe.
I honestly think it's mostly because we've been programmed so much in the wrestling business to where when someone like if a heel team or if you start seeing tension, you gotta pull that trigger immediately instead to let it like stretch it out. Treat it like a real life. Well, try to bring in some illusion in this whole thing to where like for best example with Christian Cage though when he turned on Jungle Boy. There are moments where they were building this whole thing out to where is he first he was insulting Jungle Boy, like doing backhanded compliments, and then there were times where he would refuse to embrace Jungle Boy after he lost a singles match. And then the turn came after when Jurassic Express lost the titles. Like they were showing little moments. And they were doing the same thing. They did the same thing with Jamie and Britt. There were little moments to where Britt and Jamie were not always on the same page as a team, and then in tag team matches. And then you had moments to where Jamie looked like she was going to maybe have a bigger spotlight over Britt. Britt was kind of like not being as fully supportive. But then, of course, then it all out. You saw there was that one moment that happened when Britt prevented Jamie from winning.
Yeah.
So I understand everyone's like, okay, now they got to break them apart. Let's have it Britt and Jamie at full gear. Okay, but then what happens? That's why I think this is going to be, I'm guessing until next year. Next year, 2023, we're going to have, I believe 2023, Jamie Hayter will not only break away from Britt, but she's going to start having her run in the women's division.
I didn't think about this. What if Jamie Hayter's the one to take the TBS belt off of Jade.
I could see the two because she is very strong. She has great experience. Like if
Mm-hmm.
Statlander does not return from her injury in time, I could see Jamie Hayter as the woman to take that belt off of
And
Jade.
that could be parallel to Wardlow, where the first title Wardlow won was the TNT title. Maybe you give Jamie Hayter the TBS title just to see what the fans think about it, and then you kind of push her towards. Hell, who's to say Britt Baker doesn't win the AEW World title back, and then you have Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker again, but for the world title.
Yeah.
You set up a lot of different storylines leading up to big events.
Exactly. But going into this match, I do like how towards the end, like after when Athena has that fall away power slam with its with the Samoan drop, I do like how afterwards they start putting in the grind to where it's now or never. And I like how Tony wins, not through any decisive fashion, but once again using her quick wits and intelligence to win the match with that crucifix pin. And then of course after when it's over, we
Hold on
start
one
seeing.
second.
Oh yeah.
I do want to bring up something during the match. Britt got busted open.
Oh,
Huge.
yes, yeah. I even heard an audio when Britt got busted. I heard, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Who said that?" Then I see a camera look at Britt while she's in the corner, like moving her hand from her nose. I'm like, oh shit!
And I believe that happened during the fall away slam. I think what happened was, who was it? I believe Serena landed on Britt's nose, who was on the back of her, and that man, Britt is like the queen when it comes to like gruesome looking like blood scenes.
Yeah, blood spots. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
like
even because after when the
lights out
match
match
was
she had with
over,
Thunder Rosa, where like her teeth were busted. You're like, how the what?
Yeah. And even after when this match was over, when she attacks Tony, she finds that camera and does that same thing to where she's just standing there wiping the blood off of her and then just going her and Serena. And then Jamie comes out. Everyone thinks it's going to happen, but I've seen this too many times in AEW where you think something's going to happen and then the person they're beating on like gets up on one knee or stands up and then that person attacks them. So when I didn't see Jamie go for that attack, I'm like, she's gonna hit Toni Storm, and it happened. But that was there was a reason why she didn't turn tonight, and we do get that once after Serena beats down on Athena, once Jamie Hayter takes out Athena, they bring Toni Storm in the middle. Britt's teasing to use the lockjaw with that hand
with
the
bloody glove.
With the bloody glove. But then before she even gets down on one knee to put in the submission, we hear music playing. And
by the way, that music, sorry for interrupting you.
I know what the music is. Yeah, I know who the song is. But I'm just saying, like, once that music hits, they do this whole thing to where the camera's looking at Britt, then it's at the crowd, and it's looking at Britt again, then it's back up in the crowd, and whose music and whose name we see pop up on that screen? Saraya. That's
amazing.
The former Paige from WWE is now all elite, ladies and gentlemen.
Fucking amazing, dude. I love the fact that she used Zombified by Falling in Reverse. I think that's a badass song. But also the way her title appeared on the Zombified like breakdown, amazing. Because it hit.
Wait for everyone.
Boom! And it comes up and you're just like, that's amazing. But the pop she got blew the roof off the place, man.
Exactly.
It was so big, man.
Like if people were wondering why Jamie didn't turn, this is the reason why. Because she was debuting tonight. And of course, and I like when she just comes out. I like the fact that, she's just there. Not just there, but she's taking in the moment. She's seen all this happen. She just goes to the ring. And I like when Britt, Jamie, and Serena is back out. She's just, taking in the moment once again, saying, "This is my house," just absorbing all this in, having a good moment with Tony and Athena. And of course, it cuts there. And now, of course, you mentioned earlier about how the wrestling world was divided. this was another reason. This is something. This is a pointless thing why the wrestling world's divided. I remember after watching Dynamite, you messaged me that already there were people complaining about Saraya and All Elite, and I go, well, that's not a shocker. And then I start going on to Twitter. I start going on to certain Facebook wrestling sites or even listening. I'm going, everyone is already jumping to the conclusions like, oh, she's here to wrestle. Didn't she break her neck? Guys, first off,
We
she
don't know if
showed
she's
up.
cleared yet.
Not only do we not know if she's clear, we don't know if she wants to wrestle right now. Because let's not forget, when Sting debuted in AEW, nobody knew what he was going to do. He paired himself with Darby Allin. It was a good 3 to 4 months before he wrestled. Like, he debuts at Winter is Coming. Well, not 3 to 4 months, because then he has a match at Revolution with Sting. But that was one of those cinematic matches. So it was still something within his control. But even then, when Sting wanted to do something, AEW took every precaution they can to make sure if he was going to take a bump, he was make sure he was padded down to take bumps. And if he fought, and if he wrestled in matches, they made sure that he was not taking all of the heat in matches. And they always kept the mystique of Sting around. When he got hit, he'd no sell that shit. You know, if people are so, I mean, if there are some fans who are legitimately concerned about Paige, look at how AEW's been treating Sting, someone who's in his 60s, who had to end his career over a broken neck.
Mm-hmm.
And look at what Bryan Danielson's doing. Yes, he had a head injury, but even then, he has been wrestling his style outside of that head injury and maybe a bit of a drama, a bit of a foot sprain. He hasn't been hurt that much.
Edge.
Yes, Edge, but
Constantly.
Edge is WWE though. But I'm talking about like just AEW wrestlers in general,
Oh, okay.
like
Yeah.
AEW wrestlers who's come back from career-threatening injuries, wrestlers who come to AEW with career-threatening injuries. AEW has been very proper in handling these wrestlers. So if Paige is cleared to wrestle and she wants to, AEW is not going to be all willy-nilly and just say, "Oh, you want to wrestle? Great, we'll give you a match on Dynamite next week." No, they're going to take their time with this. I won't be surprised if she starts wrestling next year if she wants to.
Yeah.
Because
So
right
right
now
now,
with Paige here, oh, go ahead, man. I've been talking.
no, it's fine. So right now, we don't know if she's 100% cleared. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure she is, because I don't know why you would tease, Saraya and Britt Baker or whatever if she wasn't 100% cleared. Because even, Saraya was saying, get in the ring, let's go. So that kind of indicated to me that she's either almost 100% or
Yeah.
almost going to be cleared to wrestle.
Yeah.
But she even said on her Twitch accounts, on her Twitch streams,
Oh
that
yeah.
her whole mission was to do what Bryan
Well,
Danielson are doing and wrestle even though she broke her neck.
and she even posted on Twitter she came to AEW to end her career on her terms. And
Mm-hmm.
I follow her on Twitch. I've watched her Twitch streams. I'm part of her Discord. She's very passionate of wanting to get back in the ring, and I will definitely support her through that. But I will still be slightly a little cautious. But even AEW, but one thing's for sure: if she is cleared, uh, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, well, there's a difference from being cleared to compete and then taking bumps again." Guys, she's aware. She's been in this business
I mean,
for like she was
that's
12.
all. Like, that's all the risk, though. Wrestlers know the risk when they first sign up to train in pro wrestling. You have to sign waivers saying that injuries are going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
that is just out of your control. So
You're
if
honestly
she,
telling them nothing that they don't know already. And
yeah,
I don't like when fans who have never wrestled or have never taken a bump or gone to a wrestling school wants to try to explain to these wrestlers the risks of what's going on. No, I mean, I don't like that because then it's not at that point you're not a fan. You're just someone who's I mean, you're a fan who has no experience of what it's like. I've never been in a wrestling ring before. The only wrestling I've ever done was the classic amateur wrestling. But even then, that is a different beast compared to than the wrestling that we watch and enjoy.
yeah, I know. I watched Steven Larson. I know they did a review for Grand Slam. There was one thing that I disagreed with Larson about, but
Mm-hmm.
respectfully, that guy knows pro wrestling, but he said that he couldn't get as excited for the debut of Saraya because he wasn't fully convinced of AEW's booking of the women's division, and he was worried that Saraya, if she is cleared, would take away time for people like Ruby Soho and all of these,
Well,
all the
currently
talent.
Ruby is kind of, unfortunately, she's hurt. So, but I understand what he's trying to say. Go keep going.
Yeah, but like to me, if say she does the Sting schedule where Sting only wrestles like once every 6 months or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, and she is there for the big moments and the big matches, but and knowing Saraya, I don't know her completely, but knowing her character and knowing the type of person she is, she would be someone who would want to put over the Britt Bakers, the Jamie
Yeah.
Hayters, the Ruby Sohos, like all the young talent. She seems like because she grew up in the business, like she was wrestling at a young age, so she would want to pass that along. And what people don't understand, and why I'm super excited for Saraya being here, is when people talk about women's wrestling getting respect in WWE, I don't think of the Four Horsewomen. I think of Paige and Emma from NXT. Those were the two that I first watched, and I was like, oh, women's matches can be fucking entertaining and
Yeah.
hard hitting and amazing. Like, no disrespect to Bailey and Becky and Charlotte and all them. They did great. But you got to give respect to Emma and Paige in NXT for what they did. And now you have someone like that on AEW who's going to take that raw, elevate them to her level. That's just going to push
Yeah.
everybody up to her level. And if, say, she does the Sting schedule, who's to say she doesn't become a trainer like Madison Rain and Serena Deeb? And now you've got three legends in women wrestling who are training the up and coming stars behind the scene. That's
Not
nothing
just
more than
legends, but are
elevate.
still current. But Serena and Madison Rain are still current active competitors too.
Yes.
So not only can they train these women, but they can also go side by side with them. Not like most
Yeah.
coaches to where they'll train them and then they'll have them wrestle against somebody. They'll actually be the one doing one-on-one work with them. That's one
Yeah.
thing.
Be like, this is what you have to do to set stories. And what I love about Soraya is that she's always been about what stories can I tell? Like, how can I make this match mean something? That's what AW's women's division needs is someone who is a great storyteller and
Yes.
who can take someone who maybe is not good on the mic but can make a great story with them.
And also, if Saraya is at the time she's going to take her moments, she can be a great, not ballet or so, but she can also be someone to back up wrestlers like Tony Storm and
Mm.
Athena if it ever comes down to they're going against Britt. And guess what? Britt's got all that backup. Guess what? Well, that Paige right there. She doesn't have to do bumps, but she can still do moments to where she can brawl, push apart, those type of situations. Or kind of be like Sting to where he will pretty much like be Sting and just kind of just intimidate the person next to him.
Yeah. So to me, this is nothing but upside. Even if, and I'm pretty sure they're going to give Soraya the Sting treatment where they're not going to wrestle her every week, but they're going to like make it a big moment. And I will say, I did not hear the rumors about her being in talks with WWE and AEW. I did not even like hear that she was cleared. I didn't know she was talking to people. So when I saw her come out, that was a genuine like reaction moment for me that I haven't had in years. Because normally
Yeah.
I'd hear, oh, so and so is talking with this company. You know what I mean?
And that is kind of funny though, because Brian Zane from Oswald, he did an interview with Saraya at Starcast at that time, which was weeks, like pretty much a month before she debuted. And even
Yeah.
when he was on his review, he's going like, I didn't even hear that caught him by surprise because she was like tight-lipped like crazy. Even when I follow her on Twitch, she's not really as open-lipped about it. She's kind of like she kind of like let it float through the air. She never did any confirming or denying anything. She kind of let the possibility out there. But now that she is with AEW, I really am looking forward because yeah, she's great on the mic. Guess what? She can help so much. She can work with so many other female wrestlers when it comes with promos.
Yeah, so to me, this has nothing but upside, no matter how you look at it.
Exactly.
And I don't see why wrestling fans want to make this a negative thing. This is someone who's coming
It's
back from
either a
injury.
negative or an anti AEW kind of thing. Like I don't.
Yeah,
Every time I see these comments, I'm going, does nobody ever fucking remember? If any older wrestlers lived through the territories days, do you not fucking remember the territory days when they ever got TV deals? There's nobody who grew up during the Monday Night Wars. There's nobody ever fucking remember that to where it's not. And I hate when people say ex WWE guys. No offense, WWE grabbed guys from Impact, from Ring of Honor, from New Japan. You gonna call them ex Impact, ex
from
Ring of Honor, or
PWG.
PWG, or even with NXT UK, it was pretty much taking guys from Progress Wrestling and Rev Pro. You're gonna call them ex-Pro, ex-Progress guys? No, you say ex-WWE because you're too lazy to actually know your wrestling history or know the wrestlers you follow. So I'm not sorry to any of you guys that likes to throw that term out there. When you throw that ex-WWE term, you're just, to me, you're a lazy ass fan who only watches two different brands of wrestling. I admit I will watch maybe only AEW and WWE only because I don't have much time to watch other wrestling shows.
Yeah.
But I'll say for this, if something from NWA pops up on YouTube, oh, I'm watching it. If I can get the opportunity to watch Impact, if Impact wasn't on premium cable, I'd watch Impact as well, not just on some third-party websites where I have to deal with 6 15-minute ads every now and then.
That's what I do, sadly. But yeah, to me, the XWE guy term I never understood, and I will always fight back with, okay, so the top stars in WWE, are they not ex ROH guys? Your Seth Rollinses, your AJ Styles, your
Yeah.
you know, hell, almost everybody from NXT at one point was either ex ROH guy or ex PWG guy. When you had Adam Cole, when you had Karrion Kross, when you had
Kyle
Keith
O'Reilly,
Lee,
Bobby
Kyle
Fish.
O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, like
Roderick Strong,
literally,
he was Mr. ROH before he went to NXT.
yeah. So it's like, why are you comparing apples to oranges? Can you not be like, all right, WWE released this guy, now he's an AEW guy? It's
Because if I recall, during the second year of AEW, during the Black Wednesday when wrestlers were being released from WWE, how many of these same fans are going, "Oh my god, I can't wait to see this guy in AEW"? And then guess what? Something like that happens, and now you're gonna be like, "Oh, the next WWE guy." You wanted it to happen. Just shut the fuck up and enjoy it. If you
or
can't, then
or
stop watching.
the AEW is all full is nothing but XWE guys, and they don't know how to build talent.
Oh yeah,
Wardlow, Jungle Boy, MJF, um,
be acclaimed for right
The
now. Daniel
Acclaim,
Garcia,
Danny Garcia, Willer Yuta. Like, I can name like 10 to
even Chris
15.
Statlander. Chris Statlander turned away an opportunity to be in WWE to be a part of AEW. Thunder Rosa, even though Thunder Rosa was around different wrestling promotions, she made herself in AEW. Jade Cargill even said that she refused to go to WWE because she saw herself to be a star in AEW. I mean, I like how they book her, but I can appreciate that she saw herself as a star and she goes somewhere that can make her a star.
Yeah.
And,
So to me, it's never an us versus them thing
no.
with me. I watched SmackDown tonight. It was great. I'm gonna watch Rampage tonight. Can we just be happy that we're getting wrestling almost every day of the week, and it's mostly good wrestling now?
Yeah.
With Raw being awesome, with Dynamite being awesome, Rampage, SmackDown. Why
NXT
does
is
it
starting to
have
get back there again, but
NXT this week was really fucking good. It was the first one I actually watched like fully since the 2.0
yes.
era. But why does it have to be a competition between,
Oh,
if you like
they're
one?
not mine. They're not mine.
Like for the morning, you can just take this stuff from Capital Market.
Okay.
I mean, if you like one, great. If you like the other, awesome. If you like both, awesome.
Was I muted or did you hear everything?
I heard everything. It's fine.
Oh, damn it. I was supposed to mute that.
It's fine. I was trying to talk over it anyway, but like, it doesn't have to be a competition, guys. We like WWE. We like AEW. Hell, I like Impact Wrestling. I think Impact Wrestling is doing one of the best. It's done in a very long time right now.
Impact is the little train that could and kept going.
Impact will never die. I don't care what you say. There's the one company that will not die because
Okay.
they lived through the Hogan and Bischoff era. Nothing will stop them.
Even when Dixie Carter became more of a prominent figure, they survived that. They survived the anthem "Owl." They survived. Even when Billy Corgan tried to bring them back
GCW.
up. The GCW merger, duh. And then so they survived so much. So if you really don't like what's happening with AEW and you're not a fan of WWE, there's other avenues, guys. That's where I'm just gonna leave it. There's other avenues. But let's get to the main event.
Yeah.
Let's get to the
the main event, Tournament of Champions Finals for the AEW World Championship. Jon Moxley and Danielson 2. I called this as the finals, but I am okay with it because, my God, this match was awesome.
Incredible. Like, I knew Moxley and Danielson were going to put on a show, especially from their first encounter at Revolution that led to the birth of the Blackpool Combat Club. So I like the fact that this championship match wasn't just for the crowning champion. This was a Danielson and Moxley 2.
Yeah, and what's great is neither one of these guys had to play the heel role. The crowd was behind both of them. And for a 2-hour show in which they have seen the Acclaim win the titles, I thought at that moment, the Acclaim winning the titles was going to just make the crowd dead. And then the Saraya debut. And then I'm just like, oh my God, like the crowd, they were into this match. And it was so good to see.
I do agree. And they had great spots too in this match to where Moxley and Bryan, they know each other so well that they were able to counter they had. Like when Bryan wanted to get more physical in his match, guess what? Moxley easily not only met that, but he came back at it and was like, okay, you want to hit me stiff with a stiff slap to the face? Well, I'm gonna punch you with elbows until you're red. And then Bryan Danielson wanted to do a drop kick. Guess what? I'm gonna do a suicide dive. And then that great moment where they had each other tied up upside down, and they just started slapping each other.
Yeah, they were slapping each other upside down on their head. And I'm like, what is this? This is amazing.
Yes. So,
dude, this match had so many spots. The dueling headbutts on the top rope. Every time Bryan Danielson does the headbutts, I get so scared.
Oh yeah,
of his head injuries. I'm like, no. Like, look. I know he's cleared, but anything can happen. Those headbutts do not help anybody.
Yeah, I worry about that too. Even when Moxley likes to go in, like when I remember he did a spot once where a headbutt and then it led to a guy getting cut open. So I was worried we were going to see that happen there. And then I liked how in this match, to show how tough both of these men were, that they took their finishers twice. Moxley took 2 Busaiku knees and still kicked out. Danielson took 2 Death Riders and kicked out. And I love the first time the Death Rider happened, we all thought it was over, but then Danielson pops up. But then the second time the Death Rider happened on the ramp, I liked how the avalanche was. Danielson gets hit, he takes the move, rolls into the ring, and it's the 2.999999 kick out.
Took too long. And I love how it wasn't like, oh, why did he kick out of that? It's because Moxley took a while to get himself back in the ring.
Yeah.
But my God, Bryan Danielson needs to be fucking careful. That Death Rider on the stage was stiff as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, but the Death Rider that Moxley does in AEW is definitely not the same way he does it in New Japan. But even then, I even love now they're calling it the Death Rider and not the Paradigm Shift anymore because it sounds so much like a better name. But even so, man, just the way that Danielson was able to work in this match, I know I was upset he didn't win, but it does give me hope that he will hold championship gold maybe next year, or hell, maybe he's the one to get the ROH title off of Jericho.
I didn't think about that.
Because I did point out Danielson was the one to put the pure title around Brian Garcia's waist, and then you had Jericho watch all that moment on the stage. What if Danielson, seeing how Jericho is treating that title with disrespect and being disgraceful decides, you know what, that title needs to be in the hand. That title needs to be the race of a wrestler.
Or Danielson decides to train Garcia in order to beat Jericho, and he's in Garcia's corner when Garcia beats him for the title.
Yeah, both
And
ways I can
then
see Danielson be involved.
Danielson is able to then put the ROH World title around his waist like he did the Pure title.
Yes,
Just another like an FU to Jericho. Be like, oh yeah, I'm doing this again.
yeah, and also it's just once. I mean, even though some people were going to be like, "Oh, Bryan Danielson was robbed," I'm like, no offense, Bryan Danielson never needed the title. He just wanted to wrestle, and
Yeah.
seeing that how the way he has been wrestling, just like I said with Orange Cassidy, Danielson could go maybe another year with AEW and not win a championship, and he'll still be the top guy.
And that's the thing. Bryan Danielson doesn't need the belt because he's not there. I mean, of course he wants to win titles. You know, that's what every wrestler wants to do. But he's even said himself, he's there to put over younger guys as much as possible. This is literally the year of Mox. Yeah. Like, there was no way. Now, if they did have Bryan win, that'd be great. But there was no way I could see AEW giving the belt to anyone else but Moxley. Because that's a guy who was supposed to be on vacation. And when AEW needed him most, he stopped his vacation, he went in, he wrestled, he did his job. You pay that man respect by giving him the belt. And not an interim belt. You can make him the world champion. And you have him run to at least Full Gear. And then you have him drop it to MJF.
And another thing I want to add about Moxley. You want to talk about ex-WWE guys? Moxley, he is the example of someone who goes to another, who finds greener pastures, not only reinvents himself, but a place that treats him well, that respects him. Because if he was still in WWE and he had his bit of a drinking issues going on, WWE would have just like
made it into a storyline.
Make it a storyline. Instead, AEW, they treat it with respect. Like, look, Go to rehab, get yourself better, come back. We'd love to have you back again. And from there on in, when Moxley came back, he has been nothing but AEW, thick blood in and blood out. That man has shown from his promos, from his matches, from the angles he's been in. If AEW asks him to do something within his reason, he'll step up to do it. Like, he could have said, no, I can't do this. I want to enjoy my vacation. But after what happened at All Out, it's kind of like this is a call to arms. And that promo he made is pretty much this. This is not about... Yes.
That promo a week later was him not talking to the audience. He was talking to the guys in the back. When he said that nothing is going to stop us. Like, he was talking to the guys in the back. He wasn't talking to the crowd. That was a message to everybody in the back saying, no matter what Punk did, we will ride this storm together. That's a man you want as your world champion.
Yes. And and so far I've been seeing, so there's some funny tidbits where people are kind of like trying to pick on the nitpick stuff where AEW's calling him a 3-time world champion, but then some people are going, wait, during the tournament he was called a 3-time world champion. I'm like, AEW and WWE. Because Bryan was listed down as a champion and he never won the AEW title. Jericho was listed down as a 7-time champion. He's not a 7-time AEW champion. I can understand the confusion from that because Moxley did a promo to where he doesn't recognize when he was interim champion. He didn't recognize himself as interim champion. But in the books, he was interim champion. So officially, he is a 3-time AEW champion. But beyond that funny little nitpick and tidbit that people were trying to pick apart.
Well, even then, even if you don't count his interim, he still beat Punk for the undisputed world title.
Exactly.
And All Out, he's still a 3-time world champion.
Exactly.
So either way. Yeah.
Personally, to me, I'd rather have Mox probably carry that belt toward the end of the year because I know they're teasing the whole. The one thing that there's one nitpick I had, which was the constant camera cuts to MJF. Like, I get it. You can do a wide shot and then a close up to remind people he's there. But there were some moments the camera shots to where I'm like, he's very distracting, though. I want to get back to focusing on the match. Although The Death Rider, his reaction to seeing the Death Rider and Psycho Knee was fantastic.
Yeah. So I will say, have they made it official? Is the poker chip thing, is that like a Money in the Bank cash in where he
I
cashed
think
anytime
it's
for it?
just it works for MJF. I think it's for his character.
Okay.
Because the poker chip, when it was done before with Hangman, he cashed it in for Full Gear. And even when it came to the battle royals and the face of the Revolution, when they did that stuff, that was for a match either on a following Dynamite or for another pay-per-view. So I think for MJF, because of his character, especially from that promo he had, I think he kind of personally wants to wave it around as if I'll cash this in any time I want.
Yeah. So to me, the perfect place for him to win the belt would be Full Gear. I know that only gives Moxley like a 2-month reign with the title.
But he did have a 2-week reign when he beat Punk, though. So,
And that's kind of why I don't want MJF to win this soon, because what sucks about Moxley with the title is that it's always been a necessary evil. It's like when he first won the belt, it was great. It was in front of a live crowd. And then guess what? The pandemic hit. He was a champion with nobody in the crowd. Then he wins it again in front of a crowd just to lose it 2 weeks later to Punk. I would hate for them to be like, here's your run. It's only 2 months, and then you're going to lose to MJF. You know what I mean?
I do. I understand that too. And some people were even saying that with his first run with the championship. But I think Mox, personally, he's kind of at that point in his life to where he has the title, he's ran, he's held the company on his back, especially through the tough time that was the pandemic. And to him, nobody can take that away from him.
Yeah.
No matter how many times people want to do the whole, like people want to wave that over his head. No, he's not going to let nobody take that from him, because what other person can say they were a champion for a company during one of the worst moments in America's history, and not only maintain the composure as champion, but in order to maintain that draw to keep people coming in and watching you? Because I'll be honest, because during the pandemic WWE, there was no champion that really got me excited. Moxley, I was excited to see what he was going to do as champion, or at least who they put him against.
Yeah. To me, though, if you want to give it to MJF, that's a great story, because if you harken back to All Out 2019, or 2020, right?
Yeah, 2020 All Out. Yeah, it was when
Yeah.
MJF and Moxley were fighting each other.
Yeah, MJF and Moxley. MJF can say, Moxley, you didn't beat me. You cheated to win that match. We had a rule saying you cannot use the paradigm shift. You used it. I earned this opportunity. So that's your story right there. Have Max say, you didn't beat me fairly. You cheated. So there you go. Now you have your main event for
I've
Full
not
Gear.
forgotten that. Yeah, that's one thing with long storylines. That's when with long form storytelling. If a wrestler is lost in a previous engagement and then they pick up months later, you can always tie back to that moment, which is something I've seen AEW kind of tie in very neatly.
And that's another reason why I was pretty sure Moxley was going to win. Because I was like, MJF and Danielson could have a good story, but there's already a built-in story with MJF versus Moxley that you could always go to.
Yeah, and
with Full Gear being in New Jersey, right next to where Long Island, where MJF lived, that'd be a good way to give him the title.
Yeah, I do understand that.
Oh, because even then, he can have great matches with guys like Darby Allin, and it feels believable when someone goes up against Max that they could win. Because he's good, but he's like The Miz. He's reliable, he's good, but you believe someone could beat him for the belt. It's going to be hard, but you believe someone could beat him for the belt.
Yeah.
So I could see someone like Darby Allin getting the belt off of him, or someone new getting the belt off him, or Danielson beat him for the title.
Because with MJF and his stature and all, it does open the avenue for more wrestlers of different body types to challenge him for the championship. Because I know with Moxley, they kept giving him too many big guys like Jake Hager, Brody Lee at that one time. And so when he went up against MJF, it was a little off until they had to build to him and Kenny Omega. So I actually am interested. So then possibly with the AEW title, they can finally start experimenting with other wrestlers. They want to see who they can build to make as draws. So I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, and with MJF, he is someone who, like Jericho, can tell really great stories leading up to a title match. He's someone who can build. Like, I think one of the best builds to a pay per view match in probably a very long time is MJF and CM Punk. The whole idea of MJF being a huge fan of CM Punk, even wearing the old school CM Punk T-shirt,
Yeah.
only to bloody it up, and then the match at Revolution, Punk comes out to his old Ring of Honor theme, tying in the whole idea of MJF going back in his history, being a fan of CM Punk on in Ring of Honor, and having that great dog collar match. MJF can tell great stories in the ring, and that's something that AEW's been missing for a long time. When you had guys like Jericho and Omega, especially gone, is that storytelling element. And I think with guys like MJF back, Kenny Omega coming back, Jericho, you could tell more great stories going forward.
You actually covered all that. You covered all that very well.
Okay, we are an hour and 41 minutes in. Is there anything that we didn't talk about?
No, I mean we could probably go more and more on, but at this point, man, I think we can cap it off right here. Honestly, it's kind of a good point to cap it until we can meet up again with Kirby to talk about Rampage.
Yeah, so I think we're going to do that probably sometime next week because I don't know when we can get everybody in. But when it comes to the All Elite Breakdown, we are only going to be talking about Dynamite unless it is like a special event where they do like a Grand Slam or whatever, where it's a big event on both Dynamite and Rampage. So we will talk about Rampage because there was a lot of good matches on there. I saw I think the first 2 or 3 matches, and they were really, really fun, really, really good. Can't wait to see what you guys think about the opening match because that was a good one. So guys, this is where we're going to end it off. Ryan, where can people find you online?
Well, people can definitely find me on Facebook or Ryan Payne. Follow me on Twitter, Caramel_Payne. And as far as other wrestling talk shows, I have a wrestling podcast called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. I co-host that with James Shimo and Brenton McPherson. It's available on Apple, Podbean, Anchor, Spotify, Google. So far, we have just some old library of recorded episodes, but we're hoping to get some more new stuff recorded in very soon. But even then, one of our most recent stuff we've done, we did a top 10 list on wrestling tragedies. We did our own little we have at least part 1 of our own style of a March Madness type of tournament where myself, Brendan, James, we were discussing best wrestling moments. So those are available. We're hoping to get part 2 up there soon enough, and then some new episodes coming down the road.
Okay, guys, if you did enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon.